According to Google's reverse image search, the first recorded date of this photo being published to the web was at some point within November 2014. Now, TinEye traces this back to as far as November 12th, but obviously there's something noticeably off about this version of the photo, being the glaring Spanish text covering half the screen. This photo, for years now, has lived rent-free in my head for a number of reasons. I mean, who even is this most likely Japanese individual with a suit on, and why, or even how, did his table end up surrounded by these 3 titanically sized 75cm Squid Girl plushies? At what restaurant was this photo of what I can only assume was meant to be a dinner date gone horribly astray taken, and who was the culprit responsible for taking this photo in the first place? And better yet, did the man sitting at the table even know he was being photographed, or would this account for some form of like stalker eavesdropping allegations? Over the years, I've seen this photo posted and reposted hundreds if not thousands of times. I mean, people have gone so far as to turn this image into Redbubble merchandise, which probably faces a number of legal implications in of itself, but like I said, this is Redbubble, what did you expect? Now, many of you may know that I take the Shinryaku Ikamusume franchise pretty seriously, and in saying that, I think we need to address the squid in the room here being this Lovecraftian-esque Squid Girl plushie herself. In May of 2011, following the announcement of the second season of the anime, the manufacturer company Movic granted Squid Girl lovers the opportunity to purchase the super big plush Ikamusume for themselves, standing at a colossal 75 centimeters. And if you don't realize how big that is, they attached an image of a girl standing alongside it just so you'd be fully aware of what spending 200 smackaroos on this bitch would fetch you. Oh, did I mention this was $200? Throughout my years surfing the sparse sea of photos that existed for this plush, the tide would somehow always manage to pull me back to this one photo no matter how many times I tried to escape it. I mean, like, how did somebody even reach this point? Like, if the oldest traces of this image stem back to 2014, then what emotions were flooding in his head during that 3-year grace period from when he originally bought them until now? Why now of all times did he decide to pull off this charade? And even more, did he painstakingly walk back and forth from the restaurant to his car 3 separate times just to sit them all down, or was the cameraman in on it too? The conclusions I was coming to just didn't suffice for what I needed. Like, as funny as the Spanish meme that I could only barely read after learning it for 4 years was, it didn't answer anything I was looking for. For some context, in the past I've traced back certain keywords before, but I've never tried using reverse image search to find a specific image. The only way I was even able to find out that this plush dated back to November 2014 was after meticulously going through each and every month from 2011 all the way to 2014 until Google started showing any results. And yeah, to some extent this worked, but unlike the standard keyword search where it would only show relevant search queries for that time period, clicking on the all images button would take me right back to where I started, which was made even more annoying on top of the fact that Google kept labeling this photo as a Meta Knight face meme every time I looked for it. On the surface, this probably didn't seem like that big of a deal, but at this point, I was in full panic mode. I mean, the way that Google set this feature up had made it literally impossible for me to trace back the origin of this image to the image itself, so my last resort would have to be scavenging through the infinite combinations of words until I can narrow it down to as few but also accurate results as possible. After some digging, I eventually thought to see what would happen if I tried to key term the Japanese title for Shinryaku Ikamusume alongside the plush manufacturer Movic, assuming that this was very likely a Japanese Squid Girl meme that just so happened to swim its way overseas. And with that, I clicked. Now, there were a few things here that stood out to me initially, first being the boatload of Squid Girl plush photos that had yet to make their way onto Western soil, alongside this promotional advertisement of her staring off into the sunset, which I was only now seeing for the first time. What really caught my eye, though, were the related images that popped up down below if you clicked on this poster, being a really wholesome photo of Squid Girl in a kid-sized Hiroshima Toyo Kart baseball jersey, and 2 squid plushies paired together in what I assume are booster seats of some kind. Now, to some, this may just come across as another standard Ikamusume post, but to me, these booster seats in of themselves were already a pretty big clue because you only really see these in restaurants, but what I was more focused on was that the markings on this Squid Girl's hat are a 1-to-1 match of the one seen in the image. I didn't have to think about it for much longer though, because before I knew it, my eyes were greeted to this, which not only had the image that we all know too well, but also a never-before-seen angle of Ika-chan using her tentacles to eat her food. And what's more, the header for this page reads verbatim, Otaku with 3 cups of Squid Girls spotted at Royal Host Kamiyacho restaurant? www. Yes, this single article, by some honestly really convenient twist of fate, gave us the exact coordinates to the restaurant chain that this event took place at 8 years ago. Now no, in case anyone was wondering, this website isn't the original post of this image, not even close. This just happened to be a Japanese news article that randomly decided to pick up on the story 3 years after it happened, but thankfully the article does reference the Yahoo blog simply titled November 1st, 2014, Squid Girl x Hisaku Kanemoto Talk and Live Show, which to me read as the one place, the one page, a personal blog that would bring some level of solace to my sorrow. So with eager beaver fingertips, I clicked the link to finally set myself free from this cage and find out what jubilation was about to lie before me. What? Nothing. Only a redirect notice thanking its users after the unfortunate termination of the Yahoo Japan blog service. I mean, even the Wayback Machine was unable to revive any remnants of this blog post, with only a couple archives of this now lost-to-time blogger bleeding through the cracks. But what I did find in those remaining blog posts left a trail of blood that even an octopus could sniff out. What was left behind from blogs.yahoo.co.jp/Matsuri774 was his self-proclaimed Squid Girl Mansion relocation plan. Shelves upon shelves of Squid Girl merchandise. I didn't even know this many mugs and figures of her even existed. I mean, the entire blog's purpose in of itself lets us know that this is about the change in life of a man who fell in love with Squid Girl on October 28th, 2010. All of a sudden, it felt like things were finally coming together, that this photo, this glimpse into a state of manic limbo on the verge of collapse, was taken at the after party of the Squid Girl x Hisaku Kanemoto Talk and Live Show event, an event that was exclusive to those who purchased the Blu-ray box set and were raffled to attend, and I quote, an undisclosed location in the city where they'd meet a life-sized hologram of Squid Girl alongside her voice actress Hisaku Kanemoto. And to nobody's surprise, Matsuri774, as assumed by his now forever lost blog post, was in attendance during the seminar. I mean, to me, this was comparable to that of the Bohemian Grove, an invitation-only secret society dedicated to only the most militant of Ikamusume fanatics, and Matsuri, with his artillery of Squid Girl plushies, had left the last remaining glimpse that this event had ever even happened. I kept glancing back at these photos as if I was inking a dead squid, like I couldn't put my tentacle on it, but somewhere deep down, I knew that there was more to this story than what I was being led on to believe. And like my Castle Bravo flashbacks, a wave of ink coursed through my veins when I realized that what was innocently sitting in front of my face in this right-hand booster seat was none other than the Hiroshima Toyo Kart baseball jersey. It was a little hard to see at first, but the more I stared at it, the more blatant it became. Like, it was right there, this entire time, hidden behind this conniving little table, that this one Squid Girl with these already distinct markings was wearing the exact same jersey from the image that I came across earlier. I practically threw my chair across the room in a panic trying to find that jersey again, and after clicking on it, stumbled upon an entirely new site that gave me a step-by-step tutorial on how he custom-made this Ikamusume baseball jersey in the first place. I did a little more searching around his site, just looking for any last remaining traces of this cap, which was when I was accidentally confronted with what I could only describe at the time as jaw-dropping, absolute horror. Wait, what was going on? Why was this entire room infested with dolled up Japanese baseball jersey Squid Girls? Like, I thought 3 was bad, but 9? How many Squid Girls has this man actually bought? And this link that was embedded to his Twitter account, Hecho Nakajima? What? Was this Matsuri774's true colors? Was this how bad it had gotten, to a point where he had to change his name now that Yahoo Japan blog services was wiped? Sifting through the pages upon pages of personal blogs, tutorials, and declassified documents from this Hecho Nakajima website eventually led me to encounter the origin of this Velcro sticker shown in the original image, Striking Back. But at this point, I had a lot more questions than just a fucking sticker. From these quite literally hundreds of photos, we can see that his date nights with these Ikamusume plushies were long premeditated. I mean, his About Me section of this blog tells a personal anecdote of how he first learned of Ikamusume in October 2011, which by seemingly sheer coincidence came after he bought a Squid Girl lottery ticket, forgot about it, came back to it, and after that became a personal sponsor for the Ikamusume Ferrari, bought Ikamusume goods, made Ikamusume chocolates, bought the Blu-ray for the second season, bought the volumes and DVDs, made his own Ikamusume watch, bought a big Ika-chan plush, and various other things. Yeah, you heard that right. This man was a personal sponsor for the Ikamusume Ferrari, which actually existed, raced, and competed in the 2011 Poca GT Summer Special. against opponents Haruhi Suzumiya and Hatsune Miku. This would make even more sense after I realized that behind the Squid Girl plush in his Twitter profile picture was the Shinryaku Ikamusume Ferrari F430 in the flesh. Without an inkling of a doubt, this had to be the guy, right? Well, that's what I thought, but something here was rubbing me the wrong way. Like, did Matsuri774 really change his name? And if so, why? Maybe he just had a Twitter with a different username, but why would he run two blogs under different aliases simultaneously? Like this Twitter embed link was posted in the same period that Matsuri's Yahoo blog was still active, so it isn't like he just jumped ship after Yahoo fell off. He still kept this name. And that's when I noticed the dates listed for when these two had fallen in love with Ika-chan herself were entirely different. I mean, within the title of the blog itself, it's made clear that Matsuri774 fell in love with Squid Girl on October 28th, 2010, but comparing that to the other site would have made this virtually impossible because he wouldn't have even known of her existence until a full year later. Yes, Hecho Nakajima was an entirely separate person. But how would that make sense? How would two different Ikamusume fans have the same plush with the same jersey with the same Velcro stickered hat? This wasn't adding up. And then I realized this wasn't a matter of addition. I had to subtract. Thinking about it through Matsuri's perspective, he wasn't even the Ika fan in this picture, and for all we knew, may have never even owned a single super big Ikamusume plush at all. I think that this individual, Matsuri774, that I'd paired together with Hecho Nakajima from the other blog as being one and the same, was actually the one behind the camera the entire time. I mean, think about it. While attending this Squid Girl Bohemian Grove invite-only meetup, Matsuri774 had watched the downward spiral of Hecho Nakajima take place before his very eyes, where he had to endure this man innocently dining alongside his fishy companions, venting about his trauma-induced fever dream through his blog. But unlike a fever dream, this actually happened. I honestly felt kind of stupid. Like, this entire time I was under this weird assumption that Matsuri774 was Hecho Nakajima, but at that moment, those eager beaver fingertips from earlier suddenly had the most glaring epiphany. I had found it. I had found irrefutable proof that these two shared some level of involvement in this image, but why leave this up to speculation when the culprit was sitting right in front of me? So I sent over a DM praying that whatever horror Deep L had written up for me would make even a lick of sense to him, and with that, I waited. For 2 minutes. Yeah, after only 2 minutes, almost immediately, Matsuri774 replied back letting me know, "This is a nostalgic photo. I was watching the scene from close by at the time. I'm not sure who took this photo. I am sorry." Now to some, this may serve as disappointing news, but to me, I found a sense of happiness, joy even, in knowing that this cat box may never be fully closed. An undisclosed photographer, somebody completely lost to time. Even with Matsuri in the room, he hadn't been the one to take this photo, and we may never know who did, but in its own way, these words offered my life some sense of closure. We talked back and forth a little more, with my horrid Deep L probably making this one of the more uncomfortable conversations Matsuri has had, but he excitedly wished me luck in possibly getting my own super big Ikamusume plush one day, to which I thanked him and never expected to talk to him again. I was happy, but a part of me still wanted to know, what if there was any way, 8 years later, with the world's doomsday clock set to 100 minutes to midnight, that a photo like this could be taken once again? Finding a plush, especially to this scale, that was released over 11 years ago, made buying any on the internet nearly impossible, especially after learning that some Ika fans thought it'd be a good idea to buy 9 so they could play dress up in their basement. Scrolling through the barren wasteland of photos and dead auctions that existed for this plush, I came across a single Reddit thread that piqued my curiosity, reading, "After a month in customs, it's finally here. The super big 75cm Ikamusume plush." Now this may not seem like that big of a deal, but to me this post was very special, as it's, to my knowledge, the only recorded instance of this plush making its way outside Japan. Thankfully, a reply followed up asking where he could get one of these for himself, with the original poster saying, "There's a website called Surugo IP that you can sign up for free, and it's a marketplace that sells used whatever from Japan, and you can mark an item per watch, and the site will let you know when it goes on sale on their site." I'd been looking for one of these for almost 2 years, and finally randomly one showed up about a month and a half ago, and I knew I had to have it. So naturally, I went to check for myself, only to get jump scared by a price jump of only 40,000 yen and 0 reviews or ratings. You know, this made me a little confused. Like, was this even the real site, or was I about to get scammed? Like, did this guy create an entire Reddit post just to lure me into thinking I could purchase one for myself, or am I about to get shipped some AliExpress knockoff like what they did to Nekawar? I didn't want to think about it too much though. I mean, there was the little red flag that Bai suspended service with Surgo YP a while back, so I'd have to use a different proxy service that had a 50-50 chance of ripping me off, but the site did say that this was the 80cm edition, which I'm just assuming it was a little discrepancy, and for some reason Surgo YP has 2 separate buy links for the same plush, but casting all that aside, my main worry right now was even being able to buy her, so I waited. Out of stock. Okay, that's fine. I can go another day. Oh, still nothing. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's nothing. The next day, nothing. Out of stock. Nothing. Out of stock. Give up. Nothing. Now, there were 2 paths lying before me here, one being that these ikamusumes would sell out basically instantly, and the other being far more grim, being that this squid girl was never gonna be sold again. I mean, even 6 years ago, she hadn't shown up for sale in, as the Redditor put it, almost 2 years, and over time, I started checking back less and less frequently, sometimes going as long as weeks without looking, but on this one day, what I can only assume was Squid Girl herself ascending up from the ocean to show me her tentacle, listed less than 4 hours ago, was paradise. $300 higher than what the already horrifying purchase price had said, but I wasn't about to risk the impending economic collapse getting in the way of one of the only things I had any ounce of love for in my life. Now at this point, a lot of last minute doubts are going through my head. Was I gonna be able to get this in time? How would it even get here? I had never bought anything from this site before, and on top of that, was I really about to risk one of the most expensive purchases of my life on a new proxy service that I had no confidence in? No. Oh my god. There's like no videos of this online, so like this is like the first time I'm ever actually seeing this in the flesh, in person, outside of, oh my god, I see your tentacles. Alright, I'm nervous, dude. Okay. Let's open the squid up. Oh my. Oh no. This doesn't even feel real, honestly. There she is. Give me a little kiss, Squiddy. Wow. Holy squid. Look at her tentacles. Oh my god, and yeah, you can like control them. That's crazy. They have little things in there. This is awesome. I don't even know what to say. Oh my god. Yeah, I shouldn't have looked there. That was a bad idea. I don't really know how to express this, but knowing how seductive of a squid she must have been to smooth talk her way past the United States Customs officers just felt too good to be true. I mean, even now it's hard for me to explain how this felt. Like, I'd been searching for her for so long, and now to see her in front of my own eyes was really vindicating for me. I mean, all the people for years who said I couldn't do it, everyone who was telling me I was wasting my time, I hate you. And not only that, I knew this was gonna be big, but like actually seeing this in person, I might as well just put my dog down. Like, measuring this side by side with Nekoark made this cat look like child's play. I mean, Ika-chan is literally so big that she can't even fit into the same shot. If you needed any more cases of the butterfly effect, then just the fact that this one single image has managed to put me this deep into debt really says a lot. Obviously now there was only one thing left to do, so I packed my bags and called up my old high school buddy to drive over to the nearest IHOP because Royal Host Kamiyacho is around 9,000 kilometers away and also permanently closed apparently. Strapping her into the car really had my emotions in full swing. Like, was this actually about to happen? Was I really about to dine face to face across the table with this squid at the International House of Pancakes, which, by the way, was my first time ever actually setting foot inside an International House of Pancakes? As I inched closer to my destination, I could feel my mind starting to go blank. Like, what if somebody realized? I didn't want to arouse any suspicion, so I knew I'd have to do my best to just remain calm and simply act as if Squid Girl was just another human like the rest of us. Okay, let's go.
To the IHOP?
To the IHOP. International House of Pancakes.
It's like no one here. Is there a booth in here? There are booths. Perfect.
There it is. For 3. Can we just get like a booth right there? Alright.
Do you want anything to drink right now?
Not yet. We'll see. I was in. I immediately took the opportunity to take in my surroundings and see if anybody was casting any suspicion on me, but after looking around, I was only able to find one other person in this entire IHOP. I don't know how these guys are still in business. With the IHOP being this empty though, I was able to strategically choose which booth to sit at so I could replicate this photo as close as possible. However, there was a drawback to this, being that the booth we sat at ended up being visible to anybody walking around us. Regardless, I felt like we were off to a pretty good start though. I mean, it seems the waiter bought my story when I told him we needed a table for 3, and next was deciding what we were actually gonna eat. Honestly, I wasn't very hungry, but I didn't want to get any weird looks if I just came in here, took a picture, and immediately left, so I'd have to endure what was probably the most challenging obstacle of all. Eating food from IHOP. I glanced at the food choices and decided to go for the kids menu in order to cut as many corners as I possibly could, and settled on the funny face pancake combo. Now at this point, I had to decide when to take the photo. Like, I could do it right now, but I felt like I'd just be wasting my money if I ordered the food and didn't even have it in the final picture. But doing this would also risk something even scarier, which was the chance of a new customer walking in and seeing it happen. Now, I just crossed my tentacles praying that the chef would hurry up with his funny face, and so I could just get this over with, and after what felt like hours, my table was finally greeted to a very funny face.
We're good, bro. Thank you. Here.
I have no idea. Aww, cute. Hold on, take my phone and get into that position, like,
Okay.
get like, watch.
Okay, hold up. Let me move this chair. Alright, I'm in the right angle.
I had done it. I had taken Squid Girl on our first date to a sit-down breakfast diner and shared my first ever meal with her, and considering she must have been pretty homesick at this point, we walked down towards the beach to give Squid Girl a chance to catch back up with her family. Walking down the side of the street, I didn't just feel the stares, I knew they were staring at me from how many people went up to me confused with what they were looking at. It was admittedly pretty embarrassing and awkward at first trying to drag her around, but eventually I got used to the stares and even embraced them. Like, the amount of people that this one squid was bringing smiles to was enough for me to realize that this endeavor wasn't just a waste of time. It was honestly kind of surreal getting to know all these people who I would have otherwise never spoken to.
You like it? We're like Squid Girl. That was your take.
You did good. You won. Yay.
I won. What are you talking about? I did not win. This costed a lot of money.
Cheerleader you got there walking down the field with you, you know?
Yeah, that's my girlfriend right there.
She's not very demanding.
Yeah.
Something, if anything, that I've taken away from all of this is that Japanese Twitter Squid Girl fans have two things in common. They really like Squid Girl, and they really like baseball. Before this, I never really understood why Hecho Nakajima took his 75cm Squid Girl to literally every baseball game, but now it's starting to make a lot more sense. Like, the amount of joy that she would naturally spread just from being there spoke volumes to me. And you know, I genuinely thought back on it, like, all these Japanese otakus, Matsuri, Hecho Nakajima, and many others that I unfortunately couldn't talk more about in this video, in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, would still celebrate their love for their favorite anime and games like Uma Musume, Squid Girl, Kimono Friends, posting about them just as much as they would have 10 years ago, and never letting that love fade. It's the little things, like taking pictures of their bento boxes or cats to share on Twitter and never expecting anything in return, like even Matsuri just posting his personal weather forecast and workout routine for the day because he thinks it's fun. Like, the deeper I dug myself down this rabbit hole, the more this idea simmered in my head that these people, in their own weird way, had achieved peak happiness. And you know, there's actually something I've been lying to you about this entire video. Hecho Nakajima did not buy 9 Squid Girls. As much as I wish he did, as funny as that would have been, what this actually was a meetup between 7 other Squid Girl lovers across Japan who all took a night out of their lives to drive however far they could just to celebrate. In a way though, looking at it through this new lens was kinda wholesome in its own right, seeing how all these individual fans had decided to decorate something that they all equally cherished, seeing how all these different influences in their lives had physically manifested onto Squid Girl herself. I mean, with Matsuri, he has his side gig as the member of a band with his little Ika keychain, not to mention having his own personal DDR setup in his house, surrounded by Squid Girl and Kimono Friends plushies. Like, this was his meaning of life. It isn't just him either. There's still an entire Twitter community that still, to this day, takes their super big Squid Girl plushies out and about in the world and blog about it on their feed. Seeing this tightly knit circle made up of probably less than 100 people posting and buying things that they wanted to with no monetary incentive. Like, these otakus were doing things just because it's what they love to do. As of the publishing of this video, it's just reached a little over 8 years since this photo was taken, and in a way, it's kinda nice being able to celebrate an anniversary for something that probably less than 10 people even know about, but linked down below is gonna be a petition that I've made to have November 1st officially recognized as a national holiday. As a final thank you to Matsuri, I DM'd him one last photo of my now arrived Squid Girl plush just as a token of appreciation for his help, and like always, thanks for watching. Bye. Thank you to all my patrons, especially my Super Mega Bazaka Ilya fan, Why Do You Ask, who upped his patronage from $50 to $100 when I don't even have a $100 tier. And thank you to my Super Mega Ilya fans, Al Karenchi, Bruno Bucciarti, Convicted Lemon Enjoyer of IA1 and Hippie, Emma, MHub47, Minmin Mancha, Red Raccoon, Sheena, The Epic Droid, and thank you to all my other patrons. It means a lot that you guys stuck around even though I was gone for like 2 months making this, so bye.